Welcome to Political Perspectives with the Washington Examiner. I'm Jim Antle, in for Hugo Gurdon. If you're following us on YouTube or other social media platforms, please remember to click like and subscribe down below. And I'm joined today by our chief political correspondent, Byron York. And Byron, it's always risky to make any predictions about anything that's happened in the Middle East, but President Trump seems to have at least gotten a short-term win out of the U.S. military strikes in Iran. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that we're talking now a few days after the U.S. bombing. We see a number of the president's adversaries in the press and the opposition party trying to downplay the accomplishment of the bombing, say it really didn't put Iran's nuclear program back very far. I think that it, in fact, did, especially combined with the Israeli attacks that preceded it.
Right.
So I think that was a pretty significant victory right there. And then came the ceasefire, which really can be measured in days, if not hours, right now. But so far, so good. So this appears, and then you think about the things that didn't happen. There wasn't an instant, blow up of some sort, some massive explosion in the Middle East into violence. So at least right now, I think that this looks pretty good, given the risk level that existed when Trump did it.
So this kind of plays into a column that you've written recently about how Democrats remain divided about what the path forward should be, what their messaging should be, what their overall political strategy should be, even which faction of the party really ought to be the ascendant or dominant faction. And President Trump is still charging full steam ahead.
Well, there's no doubt he's charging full steam ahead. That's how we started, and that's what he is doing. One of the reasons I wrote this piece was that I just remembered. I thought at this time, mid-June, in the president's first year, in his first term, the Russia special counsel, Robert Mueller, had already been appointed and had been investigating Trump for more than a month at this
Right.
point. And of course, that followed just 24/7 media fixation on what Trump calls the Russia hoax or Russia, 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 in which, at all times, media outlets were reporting new alleged ties between the Trump 2016 campaign and Russia, and commentators were routinely calling Trump a Russian asset,
Right.
just slandering him right and left. And this was going on just every day, all day, and it did put the new president on back on his heels. He was on the defensive. He had trouble getting stuff done because he was fighting off these attacks all the time. And Democrats, for their part, were just in attack mode, just attack, attack, attack. And they had a lot of support in the press to megaphone all of their attacks. And it was just quite a situation. And if you contrast that to what exists now, it's really pretty extraordinary. I think it's safe to say that Democrats are still really in shock. And you go back less than a year in which an internal coup leads to the departure of their candidate, President Joe Biden, from the reelection campaign. Then they have to scramble there. And then, of course, the big shock happens in November where they lose the presidential election.
Right.
And then the next shock happens in the first 100 days or so of Trump's presidency, where he just, I think, hitting the ground running is an understatement, where he just makes incredibly aggressive use of executive power that puts them back on their heels. And now, we're seeing them try to find new ways to resist Trump. They are adapting the lawfare that they kind of perfected in Trump's time out of office, the use of lawsuits and criminal charges and all sorts of things against him. They're really perfecting that. They basically filed 300 lawsuits, many of which have succeeded in temporarily stopping Trump from doing this or doing that. Some of them are literally going out and trying to get arrested, throwing their bodies in front of Trump immigration agents and things like that,
Yeah.
in a kind of a 1960s civil rights kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but the point is that this is a vastly different situation from the first year of Trump's first term, and now Trump is in a vastly stronger position than he was then.
So, what do you make of the New York City Democratic mayoral primary, where we've seen the fall of Andrew Cuomo and the rise of a little known, I think he's 33 years old, socialist who's now maybe primed to take over the biggest city in the country?
Yeah, well, first of all, the mayor of New York City is a big national job. They've often run for president, didn't win, but they're pretty darn prominent. And you know, at the same time as this stuff is going on among the Democrats that I've talked about, a number of the of party strategists have felt pretty obviously that the party moved too far to the left, and it was just out of touch with public opinion on issues like immigration and wokeism in some parts of foreign affairs and quite a number of things. And they're trying to move the party to the center. That's kind of rolling the stone up the hill for Democrats. And one thing they did not want as they tried to move the party to the center, they did not want a 33-year-old Ugandan born member of the Democratic Socialists of America who wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders in 2016 but could not because he was not a U.S. citizen at the time,
Right.
but became one in 2018, and now represents parts of is it Brooklyn, and is to be a new face of the Democratic Party. And yet that's what they have. By all accounts, Mamdani ran a smart campaign
Hmm.
in New York, just, tactically and focusing on affordability. Um, and Obviously, Cuomo had his troubles, and the current mayor has his troubles. I mean, we're going to have this bizarre election in New York in which Mamdani is going to be the Democratic nominee, which usually means automatic election. But Eric Adams, the mayor, who realized he couldn't win the Democratic nomination again, is going to run as an independent. And then the Republican nominee was chosen unopposed. It's Curtis Sliwa. And
Right.
so, you have to think that Zohran Mamdani is going to end up being the mayor of New York City.
So finally, do you think that that's a model that other progressive Democrats are going to pursue, and is it viable for the party?
Yeah, it's like, stop talking about defunding the police, even if that's what you intend to do. Talk about affordability, and your idea of affordability of making life affordable is to have the government give people all sorts of things. And by the way, have the government even run the grocery stores, where apparently I guess they exercise price controls on all the stuff you buy at a grocery store. Is that the model? I don't know. I don't think it works in many parts of the country. One thing that's remarkable, I'm working on a column right now, is the domination of New York City, the dominance of New York City over Democratic politics, Democratic national politics, because of course the Democratic leader of the House of Representatives is from Brooklyn, and the Democratic leader in the U.S. Senate is from Brooklyn. Obviously, this new mayor is going to be a voice on the left. Um, from there, the the ranking superstar of the Democratic Party, AOC, is from the Bronx. And the other ranking superstar of the Democratic Party, Bernie Sanders, while he is the senator from Vermont, was born and raised in Brooklyn.
Right.
And you say, well, Byron, what about the president? Well, that's true. The president is from Queens,
Hmm.
although he's the only one of that group who couldn't get elected there now. You have this incredible dominance in the Democratic Party of New York City, along with a few power centers on the other coast, with Nancy Pelosi still hanging in there, and Gavin Newsom, both, and Kamala Harris, all three from California.
Sure.
So you have this coastal party trying to figure out how to appeal to the rest of the country, and I don't think they really took a step forward with the New York City mayoral primary.
Thank you, Byron.
Thank you, Jim.
That's all we have time for today. Please join us next week at Political Perspectives. If you're following us on YouTube or other social media platforms, again, please remember to click like and subscribe. Thanks.